body bags were horror lies.
Who is this irresistible creature who has an insatiable love for the dead?
Hey guys, happy Thursday, this is your Fright Chick speaking. Okay, so this week I am doing Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice. This is my little 1 to 3 trilogy box set, region 2 of course. If you don't have any of the films, I suggest you just get this special edition box set. It was like a £5 and holographic never works. It's so annoying, but it looks cool. Okay, so Children of the Corn 2, Final Sacrifice came out in 1993. I did not realise at all that there was nearly a 10-year gap between the first one and the second one. I don't know why I thought that, but there you go. There is a 10-year gap between these films, but you wouldn't think it because it still looks like an 80s movie, even though it is almost mid-90s. They didn't bother putting a load of CGI and all that kind of shit in, and yeah, it pretty much looks the same as the first one, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but there you go. So we have a completely different premise, but kind of similar. They usually chuck all their efforts into these sequels. Anyone, you know, if you've seen these franchises like Saw and any sort of Freddy, Jason, Michael movie, all that kind of stuff, Paranormal Activity, all that stuff, they always really throw their guns behind these second ones, okay? They just give up after the third one. So you're thinking, well, out of all the children movies, this should be the best one, apart from the first one. And you know what? It actually is. So kudos for them for, like, actually managing to pull it off. So our basic premise of Children of the Corn as a whole is that the kids have become part of this cult by this supernatural being called He Who Walks Behind the Rose, okay? Now, He Who Walks Behind the Rose made them kill their parents and then become this kind of biblical cult. And then in the first movie, we had two protagonists go into the town, manage to fuck everything up, and then they go. In the second one, the kids' deeds, I guess I should say, have been discovered. Now, no one actually realises that this town full of only children has killed their parents, even though they find an entire basement nest type thing full of the adults' bodies. And then they decide to take the children to their town, which is Hemingsford, which is like the next town over, and ingratiate them into the town and basically adopt them out to the families, you know, to give them normal lives. No one's connected the fact that these kids are alive and they are literally walking zombies to the parents being dead. That's just, I never understood why, but then we wouldn't have a film, so fuck it. It's all good in Movieverse, it always is. So that's basically the premise, is the kids end up going to the next town over, and now we have a bunch of adults, and we have adult characters here and there, so we have people for them to kill, yay! Now Micah is one of the teenage kids, I don't know why I said, he's one of the teenage children of the corn, and he gets possessed, like, in the first 5 minutes by He Who Walks Behind the Rose and becomes the new Isaac. Now, he's nowhere near as good as Isaac, but they tried, okay? They tried. Now, Isaac, I just called him Isaac. He's not fucking Isaac. He's Micah. Micah does his best to look menacing and all this kind of stuff and go around getting his minions to kill people. And some of the deaths are kind of cool. Some of them are kind of funny. I am really not sure if they meant to do some of these comedy moments, but one sec, I will get to that. So we literally only really follow 4 to 5 characters in this entire film. We have John. I'm pretty sure his name is John. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. He is the dad character in this. He's one of the reporters reporting on the whole Gatlin massacre, who holds himself up in Hemingsford to try and... He's trying to interview the kid. He's trying to find out what happened. He has his teenage son called Danny. He then hits it off with Angela, who is the B&B owner that he's staying at. And then there is a teenage love interest for Danny called Lacey. Okay, those are our 4 people. But we then also have a Native American guy. I believe his name was Frank. And he shed some light on something that they tried to make up a new premise for the whole Children of the Corn thing later. Now, the kids are doing their thing. It's not even really about them. We are following the 4 or 5 characters that really mean anything in this whole film. But then Micah is going around doing stupid shit and killing people. Now, the comedy moment I was thinking of, I think there are 2, but I can only remember one, is there is a couple of old ladies in this. And we only meet one and then we meet the other one later. But they did a Wizard of Oz thing in this, and I don't know if they meant to do it, but it's way too coincidental. There is no way. I'm pretty sure they meant for this to happen. The old lady is kind of, she's a little bit like a harbinger. She's just like, the kids are evil, and they're all like, oh, shut up, you old bat. It's not true. No, the kids are evil. So they drop a house on her, and I was just like, cool. The house dropping bit was great. I'm sorry for the spoiler, but it was cool. Then her old sister turns up, who is literally like the Wicked Witch of the West, and then they try and take her out, and it just, this whole Wizard of Oz thing that's going on is just so out of place. I didn't understand what they were thinking. I really didn't. That's why I was like, is it meant to be a comedy horror? I don't know. But so as the film progresses, we literally just see our 4 or 5 characters kind of hanging out, spending time together, starting relationships, and then the kids are off doing their thing. There is no crossover. But as the film progresses, we have our Native American guy, I'm pretty sure, like I said, his name was Frank. He then tries to explain what's happening in a non-supernatural way by showing John this huge barn full of corn which is spoiled from last harvest, and tries to explain that there are toxins growing on this and they're selling it with all the new corn. So the reason the kids are evil and they killed their parents is because they were infected by a toxic mass on the corn. No, you can't do that when you show us that He Who Walks Behind the Roads is actually real. I just said roads. I've always called it He Who Walks Behind the Roads. Sorry. You can't try and make it logical when it's supernatural. That doesn't work, sorry. But obviously once this revelation comes out, John tries to prove that this is what's going on. But then we end up just having a big showdown, okay? Not much gets achieved. We just have our showdown, and that is it. That is the end of the film, people. We have our showdown, very much like in the first one, where all the kids are in the corn, and then we have our normal people in the corn, and then they have to try and take out He Who Walks Behind the Roads. Now, I will say this. I won't say who, because it obviously is the end game boss fight showdown, but this fucking disturbed me since I first saw it as a child, and I watched this shit way too young. I mean, I must have been like 6 or 7 when I first watched this. I've seen it so many times throughout my childhood, but one of the characters actually gets pulled into one of those industrial like wood chippers, you know, it's for like harvesting the corn. So obviously they get all like cut into chunks and stuff, and he gets pulled in, and it's so disgusting seeing like chunks of a person fly out of the back end with all this blood and crap coming out. And if you don't like the film, or if you don't even want to watch the film, I suggest just looking up that one clip, because it's freaking awesome. Now I'm older, I can appreciate that shit. It's really cool, and that is my favourite part of the whole movie now, but it scared the shit out of me as a kid, made me sick, it's awful. But yeah, so that is our entire film. There's not much to it, like I said, but they did good with a sequel. They did well. They did better than Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Let's put it that way. Everything did better than Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Okay, I will see you guys next week.